All right, this video is going to go over how to find your XML sitemap files on the Shopify website and also how to submit that sitemap to Google via Search Console. I'm just using an example Shopify site here, but this process is going to be the same for almost any store. You're just going to go to whatever your store domain is, and you're just going to enter /sitemap.xml. And when you do that, you're going to be taken to a page that looks just like this. Shopify has individual sitemaps depending upon the type of page that it wants to kind of curate. So it's going to have a sitemap for all your products. So those are all your product detail pages. They're going to be in their own sitemap. It also has a sitemap for pages. Those are like static pages or marketing type pages. It has one for collections or your product categories, and then it has one for blogs. So any blog posts that you are writing via your Shopify website, they're going to have their own sitemap. So if you just wanted to take a look, you wanted to actually see what pages, for instance, are in this pages sitemap, you just copy and paste this and put it in a new tab, and you're going to see something that has a list of URLs similar to this. So these pages are what Google sees. If you have a page for whatever reason and you want to make sure that Google and other search engines and other crawlers see that page and know that it exists on your website, it really is important to have it in a sitemap. Shopify usually does this for you automatically, so there's not a lot to worry about, but occasionally we do see where a page is just excluded from a sitemap for whatever reason. So you can actually go to each of these sitemaps individually just to make sure that your products and your collections and everything are being added to the sitemaps correctly. Once you've kind of done that, you've looked at your sitemaps, what you need to do is you need to submit these sitemaps to Google for it to really start crawling your site and understand what URLs are there, what pages do you want it to index. And the way to do that is to set up a Search Console account. So if you already have a Search Console account, then you could probably skip through most of this part. But if you don't have a Search Console account, I'm going to show you like what this is and how it works. When you're new to Search Console, you're going to see a screen that looks just like this. You are going to either be able to select a domain type property or a URL prefix. And I'll explain these most of the time. You will, if you're just trying to get something up and running and you only have a very simple website, you don't really have anything, you're not trying to run like multiple websites, you don't have a bunch of subdomains or anything. Most of the times you're going to do a URL prefix. That's the simplest, easiest way I would say to do this. But if not, then a domain prefix allows you to collect all of your search traffic for all your possible subdomains. So if you have like an M dot, store, if you have a WW version of your store and a non-WW version, an HTTP version, and all of these different versions of your site, you're going to be able to curate all of that search traffic in one single property called a domain property. Otherwise, you're just going to create a URL prefix. And again, this is probably the simplest way to do it. It's a little bit more straightforward, but domain is an option, and it just requires a few extra steps for security and just verification. But either one you choose is going to be fine for the most part. So let's say that you set up like a URL prefix. You just have to come in here, enter your store in here, your URL, and then hit continue. So I'll put like example store shopify.com. Okay. And then let's hit continue. And of course, I don't have this website and I don't even think this is a real website. But if it was and I needed to verify it, now what I have to do is I have to verify that I actually own this URL and that I have some access to it. So there's lots of different ways to do this. The simplest is usually just using like a Google Analytics account. I'll let you kind of run through this, but there are multiple ways that you can verify that you actually own this account. Everything from adding a tag, again, to using like Tag Manager or Google Analytics. Once you've got your Search Console account set up, you're just going to come over to this section here called Sitemaps. And I told you it's really simple. All you have to do is enter this /sitemap XML here. or you can just enter this whole domain if it asks you for that. And then what you're going to see is it's going to verify that you have the sitemap, and then it's going to show you all of your sitemap URLs individually in here. You don't really have to go in and add all of those sitemaps one by one. If you just enter this overall sitemap XML URL, it will scan that and find your individual sitemap. This means now Google kind of knows where your site is. It's able to crawl those URLs that you want it to crawl and understand your website and start scanning your content and indexing it and giving it good SEO. So that's how you set up your sitemap in Search Console. It's also, this is where you find your sitemap on Shopify website just by doing sitemap.xml. I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you have any questions. I also have an article in this that I'll link in this video below in the description somewhere that actually goes through this a little bit more step by step. But yeah, that's how you find and submit your Shopify sitemap.